Hello and welcome back. Today I am making another prototype for my Moth Puppet because when I looked back at the video last time when I was editing, none of them felt 100% right, but there was lots of elements about them that I did enjoy. So I've decided to make another prototype which is operated as a rodded marionette from above, so using strings to operate the heads and the wings, but operated from above, so that when it's operated next to Charlie, who is a strung marionette and operated on the floor, I can do it above rather than having to try and be on the ground or underneath. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm just using these poly balls that I found laying around my studio, and just to kind of symbolise where the body and the head would be, to try and work out what the mechanism and the operation of the puppet will be. So I've just cut a little slit into one of the poly balls and strengthened it with some cardboard so I can drill through, because the polystyrene just sort of crumbles if it's put under any pressure. So I've then drilled all the way through and put a little dowel through, and I've also drilled through the upright rod to give it that kind of nice pivot point to get a nice nod on the moth. I always like to draw on some of the facial features just so I can see that it's functioning, and once it has a little tiny bit of character, it just helps with bringing it to life rather than looking at a blank polyball and not knowing whether or not it's looking up or down. So yeah, it's quite good that because you can just kind of adjust it. So I'm just using the end of the scalpel just to push it apart a little bit more and gluing it together with a bit of hot glue. All my prototypes, I tend to just take them back apart again, so I don't like to do too much to them because I just reuse all bits like I'm doing here. So I'm taking the trigger off this prototype and just reusing it at the top here, trying to work out what I need, where I need it, what kind of handle I might need on the top of this puppet. When I make the final version, I might make the rod quite a lot longer, or maybe just a little bit longer. I need to have a little play with that, how far away I want to be, but at the moment I'm just using what I've got. So I've drilled a little hole into my other dowel, and then I've made this one like by just shaving off a bit at the end, small enough to fit in, just to fix it all together. So yeah, more holes, more pivot points, little tiny bits of dowel, just reusing that trigger again to just see where do I want the trigger to be, like does it function with my hand, do I have enough grasp on the handle, and also enough free fingers to do the pulling on the trigger. So yeah, I'm just having a little play with that. There's a little bit of elastic under the chin of the head of this prototype, so it means when I pull on it, it just wants to spring back to where it was originally, so I don't have to have a push and a pull, I can just have a pull. And then moving on to the wings, so that's the other thing I will need to work out a mechanism for. So I'm just using a piece of like heavyweight corrugated paper, like a thin card, to just represent where the wings might be. So I know in my final one I'll need like something a little bit stiffer where the joint is for that material. And then I'm reinforcing that with a little bit more cardboard on the outside, just because I want to drill a hole, not drill a hole, I'm going to punch a hole using a hole punch, so that I've got somewhere for some elastic to go, but also somewhere for my strings to go. So it just needs something a little bit thicker to give some resistance. So yeah, here I am, here's my nice nifty hole punch. I really like this one because it's like a single hole punch. And then using elastic between the two wings so that that does the job of pulling the wings together, and then I'm going to use the string when I put it on the trigger to pull the wings apart. So it's the same as the head mechanism, where you're just I'm just wanting to control the direction, the movement in one direction, and then I'm letting the elastic do the job of pulling it back into the other direction. So I'm always just pulling rather than having to push and pull. What I really liked in one of the earlier prototypes is that when I had the wings on a rod, I had direct control over how fast they went. So I wanted to get that real fluttering movement that I feel like moths have. So that's why I've started to have a look at this type. So I'm just making another little trigger, lolly sticks. That's what I'm using today. The endless things hanging around in the studio. So making another little trigger so that I can do that pulling on. So just working out where it's going to be, which fingers. So it's going to be, because I have the T-bar across the top, I think the front finger is going to do the head nod, and then the backs are going to do the trigger. So you can see here I've managed to make that work. It's got some little, I drilled little holes through the polyball, but it was ripping it out. So you'll see in a second I swapped those out for some screw eyes, and they, because they're nice and smooth, they make really good kind of keepers and guides for the string. And I need it to go, for the movement of the mechanism of the wing, I need the anchor point to go from the wing towards the body, but then I need to then re-guide it back up to the top of the control so that I can pull it in the right direction. So I can pull it how my hand works, how the mechanics of my hand work, but the wings are going in the other direction. So it's just use the screw eyes to just redirect where you're going and have something really firm to pull against. So there you are. They've just got a really nice fluttering movement I can create from there. Very cute. So now I've worked out the back, I actually lengthen that front one so I could maybe trigger it from a thumb above, thinking that might help with the mechanics, but then realised I could actually just pull directly on the string. So I actually took out that trigger and just put the string directly in, slightly loose, so that I can just pull directly on the string with one hand and then trigger with the other hand for the wings. So there you are, that's the final prototype for Moth. And then I'm going to just start making the final one. Thanks for following along, and I will see you very soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye!